Hi, everyone. This is Janet Roper, and I welcome you to today's Facebook Live video. And in today's video, what I'm going to be talking about is basically what the heck do I mean by going deeper? Now, I want to give you some background on how this got started. I was talking with a really good friend the other day, one that I've known for virtually for, gosh, a long time. And she asked me this stunning question, and she said, Janet, you're always talking about going deeper, but that means different things to different people. So what do you mean by it? What the heck do you mean by it? So I'm going to be talking about that today. And also I'm going to be acknowledging that this might be the beginning of a new series. What the heck do you mean by it, Janet? So if you've got any questions when you hear me talk, if you've got any questions about what I say, about any common phrases I use, just send them to me. Hey, Arlette, how are you doing? How's the weather down by where you are? So if you've got any questions on any definitions that I use, any words or phrases that I use that you don't understand, go ahead and submit them. You can leave me a message on Facebook, and they might possibly show up on What the Heck Do You Mean by It, Janet, on a Facebook Live. So again, today I am talking about what I mean by going deeper. Now, I want to say also that all of you know me as an animal communicator, which I am. And I am more because it's like I talk to the plants, I talk to the different systems, I talk to the stones. So I'm just going to call it all sentient beings, okay? And so what is it? Hi, Tracy, how you doing? So what is it to go deeper when you are connecting with those sentient beings, whether it is an animal, whether it is a stone, whether it is a plant, whether it's your computer, okay? What do I mean by that? And what I mean by going deeper is not that you learn the techniques of like animal communication or plant communication, going deeper in that way, but you go deeper in knowing yourself. Okay? Because you got to think of it this way, folks. Where does change start? Does it start with us? Hey, Jenny, how are you? Does it start with us or does it start with the other? And y'all know, I know you know this, okay, that change starts with ourselves. And we are the starting point for the change. Hi, Tanis. We are the change for the change that we want to see in the world, okay? Now, I'm going to apologize because I'm going to be going back and forth because I wrote notes for this because I didn't want to miss anything out, okay? So when you are going deeper within yourself, one of the ways that you can do that is by being aware of the lens through which you look at the world, right? So that's an important question for each one of us to answer. What lens do I look at when I am looking at the world, when I am experiencing at the world? What lens do I look at that takes me beyond myself and puts me in the midst of all that is? So when I'm talking about a lens, okay, it'd be simplistic to say that it's an outlook or that it's a perspective, but we can start there. And so what I'm going to say is that it's an outlook or perspective that facilitates and influences your perception and comprehension, or helps you evaluate of what you experience in the world. So the lens is the big beyond. You are going beyond yourself. When I look at the world through a lens, it's through an animistic lens. So that means that I am not looking at it through the Janet lens. Okay, I'm looking at it through the lens of animism. So what are some possible lenses that we might use to look at the world with? And you know, I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably a lot of these lenses are ones that we grew up with, ones that were given to us, and we may not even be aware that we're using them, because they're tradition in the family. Our ancestors taught us, you know, or the educational system taught us that we should be looking at the world through this lens. But it's really important to look at the world through our own lens, not the Janet lens, but the big scope lens. So some possible lenses are, like I mentioned for myself, animism. Perhaps you look at the world through a religious lens. Perhaps you look at the world through a scientific lens, Or if you work with animals, maybe you look at the world through the lens of rescue. I need to rescue that animal. I need to help that animal. You know, another lens that I think is quite common is looking at the lens from nature, at the natural world, looking through the lens of the environment, an environmental lens. Educational is another one. Mythology is another lens that we can look at the world. And I got to admit, okay, all of you who know me know that I love Lord of the Rings. And when I was first starting to learn about looking at the world beyond the Janet lens, beyond the Janet scope, my first lens that I looked at was through Lord of the Rings, which is basically the hero's journey, okay? Now, the thing about the lenses is that God, there's so many things going through my mind. Focus, Janet. The thing about the lens is that there are so many different ones that we can use, but we will find one upon searching that encompasses our experience of the world, okay? Now, lenses can be different for different people. So just because I experience the world through an animistic lens does not mean you experience the world through an animistic lens. If you are experiencing the world through a religious lens, that doesn't mean that I'm experiencing it that way. Each lens helps each person quantify and qualify their experiences of the world, puts those experiences in a place where we can understand them and where we can cope with others in the world, okay? Now, you might be asking, well, Janet, you know, why is it important for me to know my own lens? Because the lens that you use, okay, and I'm going to go back to animals because that's my kind of like my natural thing. So the lens that you use when you are looking at the world, okay, it's going to help you filter and translate the information that you receive from the animals or from the world. It helps you take that information and put it into meaningful context for you. Okay? And so, again, everybody's got their own lens, and the meaningful context is different for different folks. But the important thing is, when you know what your lens is, you can take that information you're experiencing out there in the world, you can bring it in, and you can look at it through a way that you understand and through a way that helps you put it into a meaningful manner in your life, whether that is through actions, through words, or just living that way. Okay, so the lens helps you take information from the world, bring it into your small world, okay, and give it meaningful context. Again, that meaningful context is beyond you, okay? The meaningful context for me personally is beyond the Janet scope, way beyond the Janet scope, okay? And if, for instance, you were talking to animals, connecting with animals, you got to remember too that the lens they are using is not going to be the same one that you are using. Okay, how many animals know about science? How many animals are religious? How many animals look at the world through an environmental lens? So when you're connecting with the beyond human sentient beings, their lens is not the same as ours, which is another reason why it's really important for us to delve deeper and to know ourselves and to know the lens that we use to experience the world. So like I say, the lens is going to help you filter and translate the information that comes to you. As an animist, okay, and this is me personally, this is not any other animist, this is Janet animist. As an animist, when I bring information in, when I'm receiving information, when I am experiencing the world, my first thought is, all right, let's say I'm experiencing it with a river, okay? How can this river and I be together? We are equal beings. I don't have the top card because I'm human. That river has their own card, and that river has its own agency and its own authenticity. So how do we work together? How do we connect? So that would be the lens that I would use. Your lens, most probably will be a little bit different. Actually, might be quite a lot different. Now, what happens, okay, get ready for this, folks. What happens when you don't know your lens is you feel unsettled. You can feel blown in the wind. You can feel, what the heck is going on? Why am I experiencing such and such an experience when the guru of the moment says that I should, again, air quotes, be experiencing it this way? What's wrong with me that I'm not experiencing it as the way the guru said? Well, there's nothing wrong with you, okay? What's happening is you're looking at it through the lens of the guru, which, you know, most probably that lens works for them. But unless it is also your lens, it doesn't work for you. So that's why it's important that we all have our own lens and we know what it is, and we are able to take in the information that the world sends us through that lens. And, you know, I've been there, I've done that. When I was first learning animal communication, it was like, what's wrong with me? This isn't working like it's supposed to. And then I would feel guilty, and then I would feel shame, and then I would feel, oh my, I can't do this. I just cannot do this. Well, again, I can, and you can too, okay? But what is important is that you have your lens to have that information come through. Once you get your lens, you know what your lens is, and your lens may change, you know, from time to time. Maybe as you age, maybe as you have different experiences in your life, your lens certainly can change. But when we're on top of things and we're really paying attention to ourselves and we're going deeper within ourselves and examining what our lens is, then I'm not going to say everything's going to be copacetic, but I'm going to say, if you are feeling blown in the wind, the chances are you will feel less blown in the wind than if you were looking at the world through a lens that is different than your own. So I really want to reiterate that if you don't know what your lens is, if you're struggling with that, if you're trying to figure out what it is, there's nothing wrong with you. Absolutely nothing wrong with you, okay? You just need to know the lens through, you know, that is your lens. Just to go on like a hero's journey, so to speak. You know, pretend like you're Frodo and go on a hero's journey and find out what the lens is for you. The interesting thing about this, about knowing ourselves and going deeper within ourselves so that we can therefore know how we connect with the world, and also therefore know what stops us from connecting with the world, okay? The thing that I find really interesting about it is that we know what we know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know. So having said that, okay, when you're working on your lens, you can certainly do it by yourself. You can certainly start Googling, you can certainly start observing, you can certainly start talking with friends and family about the lens that maybe they're experiencing, and talk about your own lens, how you're experiencing the world, okay? But I also want you to keep in mind, okay, you know I'm going to pull this word out, right? Right relationship. I also want you to keep in mind that when you are searching for and looking for your lens, that you are also in the world of right relationship. Okay, again, it's where everything is equal, everyone is equal. And for myself, being in right relationship means that I can't pull the Janet card and say, you do this because I'm the human and I said to do that. Okay, so working in right relationship, going deeper within yourself and finding that lens actually needs to be done in community. Because you know what? You don't have to do it by yourself. In our do-it-yourself society, everyone says, yeah, you got to do it yourself. You know, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, Janet. Do it yourself. You can do this, okay? Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah, okay? Yeah, that's true to a point, but it's not necessary. It is not necessary that you go on a solo, if you want to call it, search for your lens. You don't need to do it by yourself. So I also want to leave you with this question, to think that if doing this work solo worked for you, wouldn't you have already done it? Wouldn't you already know what your lens is? So I'm seeing that I'm going up on 15 minutes here, which I did not mean to, so my apologies for that. So what I want to leave you with is to start exploring, start discovering what your lens is. How do I look at the world? How do I feel comfortable when I take in information? Okay. Also look at what makes me feel like really crappy whenever I take in that information. It's like, oh no, that doesn't feel right. That's also important to know too. And then I'm going to invite you that if we just happen to be at the intersection of you looking for your lens and me having the experience of being able to help you, let's talk, okay? Let's see how we can work together so that you don't do this search by yourself, so that you have help finding your lens, okay? Easiest way to do that is to go to my website, janetroper.com, look at Work With Me, which is in the top right-hand corner, and then click on that. And then it will magically, I love how clicks take you magically to different worlds and different places, don't you? And it will take you to the Work With Me page, Work With Janet page, and just scroll down and you'll see Start Here. Click on that Start Here and you will see a place that you can make a 30-minute discovery call with me. The 30-minute discovery call, it really is that. It's just a chance for us to chat, to get to know each other, to know where you are at your intersection of looking for your lens, okay? And to know me and how I work with helping people find their lens. So I will leave that in the comments below, that link. You don't have to write it down. And I'm going to go here. And, oh, I just love seeing all these little hearts pop up. I have to admit, I'm really bad at like watching everything. I get focused on that green light. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, okay? If you've got any ideas for topics, for what the heck are you talking about, Janet, okay? Leave that in the comments too, or if you want to leave it as a direct message here on Facebook, that's probably the easiest way for me to get that information. So have a wonderful day, evening, whatever you're experiencing. And remember that we're all in this together, and I wish you well. Take good care, and I'll see you in Facebook land.